The Pillnitz Palace complex is situated near Dresden, beautifully along the Elbe River. The complex is one of the Baroque residences that Augustus the Strong had designed in the surroundings of the capital of his electorate. Until 1918, the Pleasure Palace served as the summer residence of the Saxon royal family. Pillnitz essentially consists of three building sections: the Water Palace located by the Elbe, the Mountain Palace facing the slope, and the connecting New Palace.
Hello and a warm welcome to my new video. Great to have you all here with me again. Today, I'm visiting the New Palace and Pillnitz. On May 1st, 1818, the old Renaissance castle burned down completely. A few years later, the new palace was reconstructed, including its kitchen and chapel wings. Today, I would like to introduce this castle to you in more detail, and you'll learn some interesting facts about the history of Pillnitz.
The location of Pillnitz was first mentioned in 1335 as a manor seat in a document from the town of Stolpen. The oldest Pillnitz document dates back to 1403 and mentions, in addition to the estate and village, the vineyard, the fishery, and a mill. In the 16th century, the medieval manor was completely redesigned and transformed into a Renaissance castle by Christoph von Loss, a Saxon court official. The main building also included a staircase tower with a clock visible far across the land. Next to the castle, Christoph von Loss built a Gothic church. Additionally, a simple fruit and kitchen garden was transformed into a pleasure garden. In 1636, Günther von Bunau became the owner of Pillnitz through his marriage to Sophie Sibylle, a daughter of Joachim von Loss, and inherited the estate after her unexpected and deeply sorrowful passing. Together with his second wife, he donated the altar crafted from Perner sandstone for the castle church in 1648. Following its demolition, the altar was relocated to the new Weinberg church. Elector Johann Georg IV, the brother of Augustus the Strong, acquired Pillnitz in 1694 from the lords of Bunau. He gifted the castle and manor to his mistress Magdalena Sibylla von Neitschütz. At that time, Pillnitz already featured a magnificent four-wing Renaissance palace. In the 17th century, a residential building was added. After the early deaths of Johann Georg and his mistress due to smallpox, Pillnitz came into the possession of his younger brother. Frederick Augustus took over the rule of the electorate of Saxony and ascended in 1697 as Augustus II the Strong to the throne of Poland. In Saxon history, he is most famously remembered as Augustus the Strong. He too transferred the knight's estate along the Elbe in 1707 to his mistress, Anna Constantia, Imperial Countess of Cosel. The Countess used the castle as a summer residence and designed a castle garden. She had the intricate labyrinthine hedge compartments laid out. The Countess fell out of grace after an 8-year-long romantic affair. Augustus then instructed her to no longer remain at court, but solely to reside in Pillnitz. When she was finally held captive at Stolpen Castle, he took back possession of Pillnitz in 1718. In 1720, a period of intense construction began in Pillnitz. The castle owner was finally able to bring to life a cherished dream he had pursued for many years, turning his long-held vision into a tangible reality. During his grand tour, which took Augustus as a young prince through France and Italy, he also got to know Venice. Its waterfront setting, palaces, and splendid carnival festivities evidently left a deep impression on him. Why shouldn't the Elbe become a kind of Canal Grande? When the gondola harbour with its waterfront staircase at the Pillnitz Palace was completed, the court travelled in gondolas from the residence city of Dresden. In Pillnitz, an impressive staircase gracefully leads up to the water palace situated along the Elbe, where the royal river ships designed for leisurely excursions could dock the gondolas. Here, on the banks of the Elbe, Augustus envisioned an Indian-style pleasure palace. The architect Matthäus Daniel Pöppelmann was tasked with bringing it to life. Pöppelmann designed the grand staircase leading to the Elbe, the vineyard church of the Holy Spirit, and a temple of Venus as a splendid hall for feasting and celebrations. In an almost identical form, the Bergpalais was constructed starting in 1723, mirroring the Wasserpalais. Between the Wasserpalais and the Bergpalais stretches the pleasure garden. Where the wing buildings of the Wasserpalais and the Bergpalais are located today in the first half of the 18th century, there were still wooden gaming galleries where the court society would, on appropriate occasions, engage in the leisurely pastime of board games like checkers, chess, and nine men's Morris. From the year 1726 onwards, 10 large swings were built, standing out prominently and clearly visible from a great distance. For athletic amusements, there were bowling games and a specially constructed building specifically made for the pass game. The pass game is somewhat comparable to today's mini-golf. Additionally, there were fields for ball games in the pleasure garden. The gondola gives a sense of the journey of the court entourage from Dresden's residential palace upstream to Pillnitz. It was crafted from 2 gondolas around 1800, which the shipmaster Johann Christian Petzold had built. At the bow, a triton is mounted, blowing into a seashell. The pavilion is adorned with the royal coat of arms. The gondola evokes the dream of Augustus the Strong to create a Venice on the Elbe. The elector and king had several gondolas built according to Venetian models, including a funeral gondola. In preparation for the marriage of his son, the future Elector Frederick Augustus, to the emperor's daughter Maria Josepha of Austria in 1719, a pleasure ship greeted the bridal couple upon their arrival on the Elbe. Modeled after Venetian designs, was deployed. In the 17th and 18th centuries, an increasing number of travel accounts from Asia, especially from China, reached the princely courts of Europe. They conjured up the idea of a distant, exotic, and utterly carefree paradise on earth. Even Pillnitz Castle owes its origin to the so-called Chinoiserie trend. For Pillnitz Castle, built in the style of Chinoiserie, one can recognize the palace of the imperial throne in the forbidden city of the Chinese emperor as the inspiration for the curved roofs of the mountain and water palaces. On the other hand, the wall paintings were actually inspired by the creations of Europeans who merely pretended to have a Chinese origin. The furnishings of the Chinese coffee room have only been partially preserved over time. Alongside the panoramic wallpaper, a large chandelier defined the space. On 46 gilded brackets, Chinese and Meissen porcelain were prominently displayed, alongside vessels crafted from Chinese stoneware and intricate Japanese lacquer work. The Chinese coffee room was initially officially named the Chinese Coffee Salon around 1890 during the reign of King Albert and Queen Carola. The inventories describe 9 wallpapers featuring Chinese folk scenes that were painted in delicate watercolors. The preserved furnishings of this room serve as a vital testament to interior design, skillfully merging elements of chinoiserie with those of Art Nouveau in a harmonious manner. On May 1st, 1818, the old Pillnitz Castle lay in ruins. The magnificent Renaissance structure with its long residential building was completely destroyed by carelessness. The new kitchen stoves had been excessively fired up, causing the flues in the intermediate floors to overheat so much that a smouldering fire broke out. An assistant then opened up a connecting door, thereby supplying the fire with the oxygen it required. The fire spread in an instant, quickly intensifying the blaze. That very same day, both the palace and the Temple of Venus burned down completely. Immediately, 60,000 thalers were approved for the sovereign to rebuild his summer residence. Augustus the Strong appointed Christian Friedrich Schuricht to oversee the construction of the new palace, an elegant three-winged complex. Today, the well-preserved rooms in the kitchen wing with the royal court kitchen, as well as the chapel wing with the Catholic chapel consecrated in 1830, are particularly worth seeing. In earlier centuries, there were rooms that were entirely and exclusively dedicated to the roasting of meat. This method is among the oldest cooking techniques and relies on the use of open fire. On the large table stoves, a wood fire was initially kindled and subsequently enhanced by adding coal, ensuring a higher and more consistent level of heat throughout. Using a specialized set of stove tools, the glowing coals were carefully arranged based on the size and type of meat, guaranteeing that the roast would be cooked evenly throughout. The meat hung on rotating spits, which were slowly turned over the glowing embers. This method ensured a gentle yet thorough cooking process, making it a truly remarkable culinary achievement for that particular era. In the castle, there were still several smaller kitchens, such as tea kitchens or floor kitchens, and a larger kitchen in the basement of the Bergpalais, but the central main kitchen was located in the new palace. Following the model of the old kitchen, it was divided into different sections. The mouth kitchen, the roasting kitchen, the baking kitchen, a spice pantry, storage rooms, and even an ice cellar. Directly adjacent were also the kitchen office, where all of the processes were meticulously documented, as well as the silver chamber. Both rooms were arranged towards the direction of the dome hall. The term backside traces back to the original planning of the new palace and the earliest stages of construction work. As early as 1830, the kitchen was redesigned. Instead of two simple ovens, a fuel-saving stove was installed here. This was versatile in its use. Not only could you bake with it, but also roast, boil, and even smoke. The escalating demands on the fireplaces, driven by increasingly complex recipes, made this technical breakthrough absolutely essential and unavoidable. With the introduction of this new technology, safety in the kitchens also increased, as the previously used dry firing of the old ovens was partly responsible for the fire at the Renaissance castle. The equipment included an ash drawer, a baking chamber, and several cooking holes. Removable stove rings allowed the fire opening to be optimally adjusted to the respective cooking vessel. Additionally, there was often a so-called water container, a permanently installed metal vessel that always kept warm water ready. Starting in 1860, the economizing stoves were mass-produced in cast iron foundries and built increasingly compact. The essential setup of aristocratic kitchens included not only the stove but also a chopping block, roasting spits or grates, as well as pots, pans, baking molds, and storage containers in various sizes and materials. On the stone stovetop, several fires often burned simultaneously. To ensure the meat cooked evenly, the roasting spits were turned by a kitchen boy. The kitchens were additionally furnished with a spacious table for meal preparation and serving, complemented by hanging racks and cabinets specifically intended for storing cooking equipment and dining utensils. A narrow corridor, which was directly connected to the kitchen via the staircase, was used for transporting the dishes to the grand dining hall, the Dome Hall. The staff carefully employed double-layered trays filled with glowing charcoal to guarantee the dishes stayed warm and didn't cool off during the journey. Just before serving, the dishes were artfully arranged. The necessary utensils were stored in the original built-in cabinets, which are still preserved to this day. In the 18th century, intricately designed centerpieces were commonly used for plating. These were mainly featured at grand banquet feasts, where guests would independently serve themselves from the dishes arranged in the center of the table. A serving style known as à la française. In this style, numerous dishes are arranged on the table in 3 courses, all at the same time and with strict symmetry. At large feasts, there can be up to 100 dishes served. The guests assist each other, passing the dishes around and asking for the finest pieces. That sounds like a lot of hustle and bustle. Even though the dishes are covered with lids, the paths from the kitchen to the table are often long. Since all the guests only take their seats after being served, the food is often already cold before it even lands on the plates. A rather uncomfortable and far from royal dining experience. In the 19th century, though, a different serving style gained popularity, especially for everyday meals and more casual occasions, where the courses were served individually and one after the other. In the 1820s, the Neoclassical domed hall was created as a representative dining room. It impresses with its square floor plan, the encircling columns, and the magnificent dome, a true architectural masterpiece of its time. Together with the serving rooms and the palace kitchen, it formed a functional unit. The decoration was painted by Carl Christian Vogel von Vogelstein, a prominent court painter in Dresden. He brought the Nazarene style to Saxony. The pictorial program honors the fine arts with allegorical representations of painting, sculpture, music, and architecture, as well as the goddesses of grace. In the long corridor of the palace, you can see busts of Saxon rulers, such as that of Augustus the Strong. In Pillnitz, Augustus transformed his dreams of a playful and pleasure palace into reality. The mountain and water palaces were created along with massive swings, bowling pavilions, and the ring racing building. Frederick Augustus III was the last reigning king of Saxony. When revolutionary unrest reached Saxony in November 1918, he forbade the use of armed force and resigned his throne just a few days afterward. From his early years onward, Frederick Augustus pursued a straightforward military career path. But a scandal shook his marriage when his wife Louise fled with a secret lover in 1902, igniting widespread public outrage. In the 18th century, courtly entertainment was far more than simple amusement. It was a grand ceremonial festivity, blending musical and theatrical elements seamlessly. At the same time, it reflected the Baroque court order. These courtly entertainments took place daily in Dresden and the pleasure palaces of the surrounding area, not only in salons and game rooms, but also in the gardens. The model was the court of Versailles, and Pillnitz became a stage of significance through grand festivities. In 1719, the marriage of Electoral Prince Frederick Augustus to Maria Josepha, daughter of Emperor Joseph I, took place. And in 1725, the marriage of Augusta Constantia von Cosel to the Count of Friesen occurred. Additionally, in 1723, the foundation celebration of the Order of the White Eagle of the Polish Crown was held. In addition to these grand occasions, the Elector celebrated numerous festivities with his court in Pillnitz. As you walk along the lengthy corridor, you arrive at the Catholic Castle Chapel in the chapel wing, a hidden gem within the Pillnitz Palace complex. From the outside, unassuming, only a small bell tower with a golden cross hints at the precious space that lies hidden behind. The chapel is a single-story oval-shaped space with simple elegance. Architect Christian Friedrich Schuricht designed the refined wall articulation with Corinthian pilasters and a classical entablature, imbuing the space with a serene and solemn atmosphere. At the center stands the altar, adorned with a striking painting of the Madonna Mary, the merciful mother tenderly embracing her child. She is accompanied by the saints John Nepomuk and Bishop Benno of Meissen, standing by her side. A small pipe organ majestically crowns the portal, while an ornately decorated pulpit elegantly enhances the space on the side, a powerful symbol representing the proclamation of faith. The striking stained glass window, generously donated by court chef Christoph Schlein in 1902, vividly portrays the enthroned Mother of God as Queen of Heaven, elegantly flanked by the patron saints of King Albert and Queen Carola. The impressive mural featuring a Marian cycle was crafted by the renowned court painter Karl Christian Vogel von Vogelstein. In 1819, he converted to the Catholic faith in Rome and imbued the chapel with his artworks, lending it a deeply spiritual yet profoundly human and intimate touch. His works depict pivotal moments from the lives of Mary and Christ, ranging from the Annunciation to the coronation of Mary. Especially striking is the painting, the presentation in the temple, which portrays members of the royal family, standing as a quiet yet powerful testament to the profound link between faith and governance. Vogelstein's paintings radiate confidence, spiritual strength, and human warmth, values that characterize the court of Pillnitz and are still alive in the chapel today. Behind the chapel wing once resided the clergy and the castle administrator, turning this place into not only a spiritual center, but also a vibrant and integral part of courtly life.
With this stunning backdrop, I would like to sincerely bid you farewell now. You've learned many interesting things about the new palace and the Pillnitz Park. If you enjoyed this video, I would be absolutely thrilled to receive a thumbs up. And if you never want to miss another beautiful castles video, then you'd best subscribe to the channel right now. I'll go ahead and say goodbye for now, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.